Hey guys, this is T here. This is another video. This one is on superannuation, the aspects of saving and withdrawing superannuation. So superannuation is a system in place to make sure people actually have money saved to fund their retirement. The government can't afford to take care of everyone in their old age, so you're sort of forced to save some money to live off later. So when you earn an income in Australia, your employer must pay an extra 9.5%. So keep that in mind, 9.5% of your income is superannuation into your elected superannuation fund account. You get to choose that. Often it's good to shop around, but a lot of people generally just sit with the very first one that they were assigned when they started working, but it does help to shop around for that in real life. The money that you place in your superannuation fund, so your employer places in your superannuation fund, is generally invested in different ways by the fund manager, and they try to grow the money. Often that doesn't happen. Often they lose money on that. You do get some choice in how they invest it. You can go for risky or safe investments. But yeah, the economy's not going so well, so losing a lot of money there. You're generally only able to access the money in your super fund when you retire. So that money is being saved specifically for you to use when you stop work. Also, you as an employee have the option to put an extra percentage of your money into the superannuation fund. Generally these days 9.5% is nowhere near enough to make sure we retire comfortably. It's closer to like 16%, so highly recommended that you do contribute an extra percentage. So there's two aspects to the maths you need to understand for superannuation. First is saving the super. So that's putting money into your super fund and you assume it grows at a compounding rate. It doesn't, it's not guaranteed. This essentially works like a future value annuity. Start off with nothing in the account, you put regular contributions into it, and then it grows because of those contributions and due to interest. Second part is withdrawing money from super. So generally once you've retired, you put all that money saved in your super and roll it over, that's a term that's used, into what's known as a pension fund at retirement, and then what you do, that pension fund compounds. But on that lump sum that you put in from the super fund, and you just live off the withdrawals from that pension fund until it runs out. So that works like a present value annuity. You put money to start off with in the first place, and then you withdraw until it reaches zero. So let's have a look at a couple of examples to show what the maths is that you require and what the saving and withdrawing parts entail. So often the first part of a super problem is you need to calculate how much of an income is deposited into your super fund. After that, you'll need to calculate the contents of the fund when you retire. So this assumes the contributions keep going the same and the fund has a constant return. So, for example, you're 20 years old, you start full-time work at $52,000 per annum. Your employer contributes to the super fund quarterly it doesn't say anything else in this question, so you're going to assume 9.5%, which they have to do. How much will your employer contribute to the fund quarterly? So let's answer part A first. We need to work out what you're getting quarterly, because we're working out how much goes into the super fund quarterly. So 52,000 divided by 4 you get 13,000 quarterly, but the employer is only putting 9.5% of that into the super fund. So 9.5% as a decimal is 0.095. 9.5% of 13,000 is 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's for part A. Your employer is putting in 1, 2, 3, 5 into your super fund every quarter. B. Super fund returns 5% per annum, compounding quarterly. What will your fund contain if you retire at the age of 60? So this is a compounding interest question, so you need to use TVM Solver. That's under Apps, One Finance, One TVM Solver. And so, as you've been shown before, you need to plug in what you know, and then press Alpha Solver on the thing that you're trying to find out, which in this case, what will your fund contain? It's going to be FV, the future value of the fund. So we need to put in what we do know. So when you're answering these questions, you need to put in the variables, and you show what you're plugging into the calculator. That's your working out. PMT, FV, that's what we're trying to find, so put a star next to that. PYCY. Alright, 20 years old. How much will your fund contain if you retire at the age of 60? Age of 60, you started at 20, so 40 years, but you're contributing quarterly. So the payments per year is 4, compounding per year is 4 because it's compounding quarterly, and N depends on PY. So you're doing it for 40 years times by the 4 times per year, 160 number of periods. I, your super fund is returning 5%. You're assuming that. You're not told that you're putting any money into the account to start off with, so that PV is 0. PMT, you're putting in 1, 2, 3, 5 every quarter. Now you're not just going to put 1, 2, 3, 5 here. You are putting it away. You're not getting 1, 2, 3, 5. You're putting it into an account. So it's minus 1, 2, 3, 5. Make sure you use the little minus sign in brackets at the bottom of the graphics calculator, because that's what the negative sign. So we know everything here except FV, so we can solve for that now. So I just need to put that into my calculator too. PMT negative 1, 2, 3, 5, 4 and 4. So now highlight FV and press Alpha Solve, and FV comes to 62224.46 to 2 decimal places. You notice that it comes out as a positive number. That's because that money is yours. So when the money is going away from you, or you're putting it away, it's negative. When it's coming to you and it becomes your money, it's a positive answer. So there you can see how much you're going to retire with in the account. Alright, that's also the kids outside making noise. I've shut the doors, so hopefully it's a bit better audio. So the next aspect of these kind of questions is the withdrawing aspect. So generally, once you've saved up all that money in your super account, you roll it over into a pension fund, and then you withdraw from that basically until the money runs out. And this is generally an example of a present value annuity. You start off with a lump sum of money and you keep taking away from it until it reaches 0. So going on from that last question, you've got that $622,244.46 in your super fund after retiring at age 60. You decide to roll this over into a pension fund that returns 4% per annum compounding monthly. If you choose to withdraw $1,000 a week to live off, how long will it take for the money in the fund to run out? So here, what we'll do is TVM Solver again. So N, I%, PV, PMT, FV, PY, and CY. Now, we need to put in what we do know. So the pension fund returns 4% per annum, compounding monthly. So generally your questions in the book are going to have PY and CY exactly the same, but you need to understand that they don't have to be exactly the same. They're just going to be mostly the same for your level of maths, but they don't have to be the same. All that matters, all you need to remember when dealing with that is to put in the numbers appropriately And N depends on what PY is, not the compounding periods per year. So we've put in that the fund returns 4%, that's the interest rate, and it compounds monthly. So CY is going to be 12. The problem comes because we're withdrawing every week. So the number of payments, the PY, the number of payments per year is going to be 52. Not the same as the compounding periods per year. You can do that. Your calculator lets you do that. But you'll notice when you put 52 in PY, it'll automatically change CY to 52. It wants to keep them the same. Just edit CY to be 12 in that case. You're withdrawing $1,000 a week. So in PMT, it's not going to be negative $1,000. You're getting the $1,000, so it's going to be positive $1,000. You're going to withdraw until the money runs out. So final value, sorry, this is the answer to question A. Final value is going to be 0. You're going to do this until it reaches 0. So when you decide what PV is, PV is what you had in the account in the first place, which was 622. Scroll up, I can't see. To $622,244.46. But you can't do that. You can't leave it at that because you need to decide whether it's positive or negative. That money is not yours right now. It's in the account, so it's negative 622. So we are solving for N. We're trying to work out how many periods that this situation of withdrawing $1,000 will last. So I'm going to put this into the calculator. We're solving for N, so I put a star there. I is going to be 4. PV is negative $622,244.46. Withdrawing 1,000 every time, so positive 1,000. FV is 0. We're not going to be left with anything. PY is 52. CY, see, it changes when you put PY into 52 automatically, but change CY to 12. Don't touch it again. And now we can highlight N and solve for N. So that comes to 846.61 to 2 decimal points. Now remember that N is dependent on the number of payments per year, so this is in weeks, not months if it was dependent on CY. So therefore we'll take 846.61 weeks to run out. If you're asked to find that in years, well, 846.61, how many weeks in a year? 52. So divide that by 52, or 16.28 years. So not very long to maintain withdrawing $1,000 a week. So part B, so let's say you want the money to last until you're 90. So this right now is only going to last until he's 76. So he's not planning to live that long after he's retired. Let's say you want to live until you're 90 years old. How much can you actually withdraw weekly? So this is another aspect of super questions you may be asked. NI percent PV PMT FV PY CY. So in this situation, it's not asking you how long it will last. It's telling you how long it's going to last. You're trying to work out how much you could withdraw to make sure it lasts that long. So until you're 90 years old. I is the same. The amount of money you started off with is the same. You're trying to work out how much you could withdraw. So put a star next to PMT. FV is going to be 0. You're going to withdraw until it runs out. Payments per year. How often are you going to withdraw? It's every week, so 52. And compounding, well, the account's the same, so it's 12. So we need to work out what N is for living to 90 years old. Well, you retired at 60. You're living until 90, so that's 30 years. 30 years. But that's not in the units that we want, because N is dependent on PY, and we need that in weeks. So 30 years times by 52 weeks is going to be 30 times 52, 1560. So N is going to be 1560 to represent 1560 withdrawals. So put that in the calculator. 4%, 622,244.46. PMT I'm solving for. So I'm going to highlight PMT, alpha solve, and that comes to 684.67 to 2 decimal points. Therefore, for the money to last till 90 years old, let's just check we're answering this question. If you want the money to last until 90 years old, how much can you withdraw weekly? You can only withdraw $684.67. So hopefully that helps you out with the superannuation questions. There's 2 big chunks to that. The maths is not bad when you understand what's happening there. You just need to be wary of using TVM Solver. See you in the next video.